Folks, welcome back. My name is Rudy. How's everybody doing today? Today we're going to talk about the long forgotten, beautiful boom and bust story of the Force of Will trading card game. Probably about 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, in the early days of my YouTube channel, one of the biggest things I was involved in was the Force of Will trading card game. A lot of YouTubers were doing YouTube channels on just Force of Will. And it was the next big thing to compete with Magic and Pokemon and the old Yu-Gi-Oh! And your stepsister. And all of a sudden, after many sets and huge success, I actually did mass box openings on Force of Will. If you guys have a few minutes, go on YouTube. Alpha Investments Space Battle Fran and Torca, and press enter, and you will see a YouTube video of me doing a mass box opening of a Force of Will set from years ago. And all of a sudden, Force of Will released one really bad set, the world famous Millennia of Ages. And it was a tiny little 50 card set, and they put a bunch of variants in it. And the market rejected it, threw a fit. The boxes collapsed from $100-something down to, I think, $30, $40 a box. And the game never recovered from there. Corporate shakeups, management firing, arguing, pulling and arguing over who has power and control of the company and the card game. And you fast forward to all kinds of selling the company, this and that. And you fast forward to almost 2024. And here we are on the night and verge of another Force of Will release. That I still carry Force of Will. It is one of the most beautiful, historical, modern day card games that boomed, busted, and yet is still in business, still making new product, and still releasing sets after all these years. And that was a card game that I was there on set 1 and set 2, doing mass box openings, selling singles on eBay, and it was a big part of the CCG world a long time ago. So the reason I make this video is because it reminds me almost of like a future card buddy fight now, where the game's not dead, although technically Buddy Fight doesn't have new product being released, so technically new product is dead on that. But you have all these boxes and releases that have continued to be released in Force of Will in super duper low print runs in English, to the point where some of these things are becoming impossible. They just don't exist. And it's created this very bizarre economy of single cards and boxes on the open market. And for example, I would say 10% of the LGSs in the United States, now 5% of the LGSs in the United States, probably order the new Force of Will set coming out next week. And of those 5%, those stores maybe get 6, 12, 24 boxes, usually a case or two, just for that couple loyal customers or people who love Force of Will. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you've never heard of the Force of Will card game, I really do encourage you. Look at the history. The booty cat, Cheshire cat with the naked, oops, we forgot to put her pants on. That, all the alternative hidden stone cards, all the rulers and the J rulers and these different things. And what was it called? It wasn't materia. It wasn't tapping mana and lands. What was it called? I can't even remember. It's been so long. The resources and the way Force Will operated with the resources in your regular deck and is a really well done, fun game with a lot of problems in history. Force of Will, the reason it never grew back is simply put, it has bad management, and management that is too far gone and disconnected to ever recover that market. But this is where I turn the conversation to. It's kind of a beautiful little playground now. So I try to get a couple hundred boxes of every Force of Will release. Every single one. I've been doing it since the beginning. I've never skipped a Force of Will. Well, can't say that. 1 or 2 of the Force of Will releases, I ended up getting like the product went missing or something happened. Distributor gave me a refund. And so technically I did skip 1 or 2. And I ended up getting like 6 boxes. I couldn't even run a sale to patrons. And I think I may have that one case. But it's crazy because you have this little niche market of a card game that's gorgeous with these weird chase cards. And some are pretty expensive. Some, you can't find them. And some of these new sets have such low supplies. Like the print run of some of these new products, no joke, folks, the print run has to be like 5,000 boxes. Like, the supply of some of these new Force of Will sets in English, I'm telling you all, the entire United States, or maybe US and Canada, North America, whatever, like, it has to be a supply. I don't even know if it's 10,000 boxes, because it's crazy. There's never any for sale. Like, you go on TCG Player right now and hit the new Force of Will set. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to look real quick. And in the miracle and magic of the internet, I'm back. So on TCG Player, the brand new Force of Will set coming next week, Judgment of the Rogue Planet. People are paying $120 to $140 a box plus tax. That's $135 to $160 for a booster box of Force of Will that comes out within a few days of you watching this video. And it's selling. Now, when I say selling, a couple boxes. We're not talking hundreds. We're talking the flow-through rate and liquidity on Force of Will is awful. I'm not going to bullshit you. It's like MetaZoo level awful, okay? The amount of volume moving of like Force of Will boxes and sealed products on TCG Player is in the same holding hands, prancer-sizing Central Park of MetaZoo product. You'll see like a box sell, like in the last 2 weeks, maybe 5-10 boxes sold. So we're talking very little market depth. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. That's where it's at. But it's crazy because you have a low-printed, rare item that people are willing to pay almost $150 a box. Actually, there's sold listings for $140 plus tax. That's $160 shipped for a new box of Force of Will. It's wild. It is wild. And when you look back at other Force of Will sets in the last few years, some of them are still around 70, some are 100, some have gone down to 50, 60, some are like 150, some are like $200. Like, the Force of Will box prices, and this is just hilarious, the Force of Will booster box prices in the last 2 years, in the bear market, in the garbage, everything, most of their products have performed and held up better than Magic the Gathering. Like, that's wild. Like, that's wild. And again, context matters. So remember, when I say hold up better, I mean the couple that are for sale are at a higher price and the listings actually sell for that, but like one box. So there's no liquidity. You can't do a lot with this because, number one, you can't buy thousands of boxes of it. Number two, there's the amount of people interested in Force of Will is a very thin, very niche market. You cannot move lots of this product. You can't get access to lots of it. It literally doesn't exist. And I kind of think that's a fucking cool thing, man. Like, I kind of think it's fascinating that a card game going into 2024 that people said died 6-7 years ago is still making new releases. It actually gets sold very, very little. And it actually gets printed very little. But it's, I don't know. I like it. I sell, and again, bias Rudy, I run like 2 little Force of Will sales a year. Okay. And then every once in a while, like once every year or two, I do a throwback sale of old Force of Will, maybe starter decks, a booster box, or variety kit. I try to do like every year because every time I do it, people want it and people get excited. And it's fascinating. And it's a really cool thing. The reason I'm sharing all this is because people talk about, sorcery is going to cool off and fail. Disney Lorcana Rudy is in a huge bubble. It's going to collapse and fail. First of all, I don't think sorcery is going to collapse and fail. I don't think Disney Lorcana is going to collapse and fail. I literally think Flesh and Blood is ridiculous expansion. The weakest out of all of them is going to be MetaZoo. And even then, they just partnered with fucking Hello Kitty, and that was a pretty wild thing. And now they still have more products coming out in the next few months. They have a whole new block and era in 2024. They are shifting their art style to more kid-friendly with different artists because they want to go more family-friendly. Like all these, and I think they're doing a digital client. Like, it's just fascinating when you kind of remove the emotional drama of the internet and we just look at what's happening. And on this video, we talk about Force of Will. It's just a really fun but tiny playground. And the people who love it, they love it. Every release, there is a small, like 1-2% of the patrons that just go nuts. And they buy like every Force of Will, like a case or a couple boxes every time I do a Force of Will release. And some of these people have been doing it for 5, 6, 7 years that I've been doing Force of Will on YouTube and Patreon Been doing this shit forever now. I'm an old fart. And it's just interesting to see how much certain people love certain brands, even though they're not huge. Force of Will's not exploding and growing, but it's just a really fun little thing. I don't think you can buy these products and 10x your money and make a ton of, quick tendies, but it's a fun niche market that I don't think gets enough credit anymore. Because post-COVID and post the boom and bust, when people think new CCGs right now, you're thinking pretty much the old guard now is like MetaZoo Flesh and Blood. The new guard of hot new crazy CCGs is essentially Sorcery, One Piece, and what? Disney Lorcana? Those are probably the big three that are the new guys on the block that are doing the moving and shaking, right? And little Force of Will in the back corner is still making releases. And thankfully, I was able to get like 100 boxes of this, and I'm excited about that. I don't know if I'll be able to even sell 100 boxes, but that's okay. I don't mind keeping it. And it's just a really fun thing. And I feel like it doesn't get the appreciation, the exposure, the discussion that it probably deserves from years ago. Because similar to MetaZoo, Force of Will, when they made their mistakes of overprinting certain sets, they got greedy and they made a lot of missteps. They released a bad set. All the stores dropped them and nobody went back. And I warn everybody and all these new brands and CCGs, and we talk about this, And right now, out of all of them, the most passionate market out of all of them is by far going to be Sorcery, One Piece, and of course people love Disney products. As far as management, the scariest is probably going to be the Disney Lorcana, because they've made it very clear that they want to really get prices down, and these are game pieces, and it's run by Ravensburger, and they don't believe in really, it's a little nerve-wracking. But at the same time, One Piece, easily could do the same thing. They could ramp up printing through the roof, release a bad set, and things could shift on us very quickly. But so far, that's what we see happening. It's very exciting. It's a lot of fun going into 2024. And Judgment of the Rogue Planet booster box for the new Force of Will set that most of you don't even know I'm talking about and don't care, is ridiculously expensive on TCG Player. And like I keep saying, the print run is so low, you essentially can't even get it. And I just want to do a Force of Will video and tell you all that. A lot of the sealed product and a lot of the singles and a lot of people are still out there buying and hoarding their little Force of Will collections, and they enjoy it. And it's a very small game. I don't see it growing or expanding. I think it stays the same. And I can't believe we're going into 2024 and they're still going to release new sets. It's fucking impressive, man. You got to give credit. We got to give credit where credit's due, man.